Hello and welcome to the Jack Halford podcast. Today I'm going to be doing a little bit of painting. Let me just move this down a bit because this is a bit high. There we go. Don't want it that high. Not when I'm not painting at heights. Today's a bit of a paint along. I'm a painter after all. I'm trying to get in the studio more, and hence what is painting. I'm painting a picture that is going to start this new year on a high. I suppose in a way. I don't know why there's so much yellow on this brush. I'm going to start painting it blue. Yeah. Today I am experimenting with a warm light lighting up the substrate, which is another name for a surface. That's what I am painting on. This linen stretched over a lovely stretcher frame purchased from Russell and Chappell in London, and here we are going with the first few marks of a very nice blue. It is slightly mucky from whatever type of yellow is already on the brush. It's been sitting in here for a long time. Today I received a download link from Jack Dunn, who has been on a bit of a journey recently to film me in the studio and at my house, talking about the work that I do. And this film he was making before he started his MA. Now he started his MA in ethnographics and documentary, something or other at UCL. So it's a sort of an anthropological documentary film master's degree, which sounds fascinating to me. And I'm not being sarcastic. It really does sound fascinating to me because I do enjoy studying human nature. And I think that's what I'm doing when I'm making work. I am studying human nature, perception. Recently I've become fascinated with flashlights. Not flashlights, flashlights. And I have bought myself a beautiful flashlight from Convoy, which is a company out of China. Now this is the S2 Plus, and I got it with a colour temperature of about 5000 K, which stands for Kelvins, I think. And that could be quite a neutral light, I think, but it's got a very good colour rendering index. I think that's what CRI stands for. Now that's about 50% output, which is what I've set this to. It's a pretty good light, and you just sort of half press it to change the stramps and things. It comes with a 18650 battery. If you order one, you can pick different ones. You might want to purchase an 18650 in this country. It takes unprotected cells, but it does have over discharge and under discharge safety and short circuit safety and everything in the torch already, I think. You have to purchase this little clip separately. This is a grey. I picked a SFT 40 LED with a 5 amp book driver in it. Now that should make it a bit more efficient, I think, a book driver than a linear driver. There's another type of driver, well, there's lots of different types of drivers, but I think the other type of driver is a boost driver, and it's usually sort of, I think boost or linear or book are the most common. I think, but I chose a book one because I was just looking at the Reddit for flashlights, and I think I just came to the conclusion that that was the one for me. I was afraid of it overheating, that's why I chose mode 8 out of the 12 different modes that you can choose. But what really fascinates me, because I was baff along about this, what really fascinates me with a torch is the CRI, the colour rendering ability. So in low light situations you often have a really, really warm light. It might not look like how things look in the daylight. Now this is much more like daylight on a good day, not golden hour, but that really nice light that you get where you can really see things clearly, and this is it. So this is a very good light if you want to see things clearly, how they look in the daytime. At night we use our I think our rod photoreceptor cells at the back of our retinas more, and I don't think that they, unless I'm getting them confused with the cones, the rods I don't think can see colour very well at all actually. I think they're mostly seeing grayscale. They're on the peripheries of our retinas, and so for me what's important is to be able to see the colour of things, how they would appear in daylight. At night time, for some reason I'm just interested in that. I'm just interested in ocular biology and perception, and part of perception is light. Well, that's a big part of it for me because I'm an artist and I'm representing light essentially. If I'm creating representational paintings, which I'm not, I'm creating sort of psychedelic, weird, abstract paintings. But it still is an important factor for me because I've done a bit of writing about running in the night and about, again, those rods and the peripheries and seeing things and hallucinations, and what we see, is it really what we see? I mean, under communism in Albania, under Hoxha, what people would have saw after the Second World War until about 85, the 90s or whatever, when communism fell, is not necessarily what was really happening. Or they did see what was really happening, but if they talked about it openly, they might get their head chopped off, or they might be shot and tortured. So, you know, I think it's really important to be able to see what's really there and to be able to talk about what's really there. So to be able to shine a light on something and see it for what it is an important factor for me in buying a flashlight. I suppose it's also a metaphor. And I guess I was just ill and looking at flashlights because I get hyper fixated on things. So if you're after a good flashlight, this is a very good choice. It cost me about £18 delivered with the setup that I got it with the battery and everything. You need to buy a charger yourself. It doesn't have USB port for charging, so you have to buy one yourself. I went for a X-Star charger which I brought on eBay second hand that wasn't opened for half the price you can buy new. Which is another thing I've been doing recently, is buying a lot of second hand things. You know, it's amazing. We're paying so much for these base layers and things. You can go and get an extra fine merino wool cardigan, sweatshirt, jumper, whatever you call it, and wear that as a base layer for less than £5. I've got a John Smedley one that they sell new for like 200 for £5 from a charity shop. And if you're just wearing it as a base layer, why the hell do you care if it has a couple of holes in or something? Buy second hand, wash it, good as new. There's all these people talking about, my brand is an incredibly environmentally friendly brand, buy my things. And I just think, no, talking bollocks. You know, how is buying more things and adding to the amount of things in the world that have been produced by another human being that end up in landfill going to help the environment? I'm going to continue to keep buying second hand and reselling things that I don't want at a reasonable price so other people can enjoy the secondary market, and yeah, learn to repair things as well with a sewing machine by hand. It's not that difficult to use a sewing machine. I've used one recently to repair some jeans, and the satisfaction you get from being able to repair something. I mean, it's fucking annoying when using a sewing machine, you don't really know how and you're trying to do something and you cock it up, but when you get it, it feels really good. Yeah, let's go on with some diazine purple. Nice. Have I been investing? I have been investing. I've had to keep sort of taking my investments, selling them, and then paying for things because I don't really do it how you're supposed to do it, which is like only invest what you can afford to invest. Well, you think you can afford it, and then you get hit with a bill or something, and you have to sell them. And because I quit my jobs, I'm a full sort of freelance thing now. Yeah, that's what happens. But it's still interesting to do it anyway, even if you've not got a lot, and just to track things. Since Trump won the presidential election in the US, I have been interested in following quite a few companies because of his talk of putting tariffs on foreign companies and things if they don't manufacture in the US. So I've been tracking companies that manufacture in the US. I've also been tracking like stuff like Tesla because I think he's bumming Trump at the minute, so it's probably a good one to have a look at. Although incredibly volatile it seems because of the person in charge. He just says whatever he wants, which I think is good. I think it's good that you could, to say whatever you want, but probably not if you're, wanting stock price to sort of stay pretty much the same and grow then gradually. But markets are odd things, and trickery, really, artificial. They're not real. Markets aren't real. They're created by the people that are selling, mainly, I think, not buying, but they're created by people that are selling. If they go higher, that's created by people that want to sell, and then they will sell after it has gone up, or they'll trick you and sell it after it's fallen and then gone up after they've created some hype. So I just think markets are just something that you have to be wary of, and you don't want to get sucked into it. It can be something that people can get sucked into if they're prone to get sucked into with, say, gambling and things like this. So if you're a gambling addict or something, I wouldn't recommend investing, because you'll probably become a short-term trader and start forex trading or something and lose all of your money. So investing in myself is something that I'm more interested in doing, really, rather than external things like stocks and shares and things. Much rather be invested in my own health. So come January, I'm going to start a ketogenic diet. I'm going to see how long it takes my body to go into ketosis, and see how I feel on that diet, because I am rather interested in, like, say, carnivore, but I like my veggies and I like flavour. So I think that having a mixture of both and just kicking the carbs out is an attractive thing for me. I think these paintings look really similar to the sort of colour blindness tests that I did when I was at school. When they ask you what letter you can see, what number you can see, kind of thing. I'm not sure of the aspect ratio of this rectangle, but it's certainly not my favourite 5:4. But we work with whatever we work with here, you know. The point of these paintings as well is to sort of put colours down, and then whatever colour I don't think is going to go, I try and use that. It challenges me. It creates a piece of work which is more original because it's sort of unordinary. People wouldn't think, it's a strange. They wouldn't think, I've never thought to use those colours together, but they work somehow, and that's because they're not good like I am. They don't understand that colour doesn't really have rules, you know. If you're good, like I am, you can use any colours and make it work. It's how you apply them, and yeah. I don't know, maybe I'm just talking out of my arse right now. I guess I'm just feeling really good about this this film. It's given me a bit of a boost. Yeah. Stocks, shares, flashlights, biology. Amazing. You know, I might have to start having a different brush for lighter colours as well, because this is a ball ache. I think a lot of painters do, to be honest. There you go. But it's not necessary really. I always kind of like just to use the same brush for every colour. It does require a lot of cleaning though. But I'm going to have different colours to everyone else because of how I work. This primer I'm using on this canvas is sort of a dupe of a Michael Harding non-absorbent acrylic by Jackson's Art. I say it's a dupe because the packaging looks very similar and it's just called acrylic primer, but I think it must have a lot of titanium whiting rather than whiting, or what we call chalk, which according to my girlfriend may contain small amounts of asbestos depending on where the chalk was imported from. So if you don't want to be inhaling asbestos, then look at what primers you're using and make sure that there's not too much chalk, and if there is chalk in your primer, whiting or whatever they want to call it, calcium carbonate, make sure that you find out where that is being sourced from, and if it's being sourced anywhere dodgy, I need to figure out where dodgy is or who dodgy is, then maybe don't buy that primer anymore. I think we need to be very wary as artists about the materials we're using. Calcium carbonate is also put in McDonald's chicken nuggets. It's put in things that help your body with heartburn, like Gaviscon. It's put in a lot of different things, not just art materials, but it's put in food. So it's been a bit of a scandal lately with Johnson & Johnson about asbestos being in talcum powder. It's in a lot of things. It's in eyeshadow that's cheap. We need to be careful with what we're using, what we're being exposed to on the day-to-day in our jobs. We need to make sure that we are not inhaling deadly cancerous materials so that we can stay on this planet for as long as possible as healthy people, so that we can enjoy our time here and keep doing what we love. So do things that you love carefully. Safety is fun. Safety is fun. Yes. go. Right, let me just click this. I'm recording audio on 2 different mics today to experiment to see which is better. And I think that the one that I've got on my person that you probably can't see, it might get the better audio just because the one that's attached to the camera might not pick up the audio as well. But we'll see. I did notice a slight bit of noise from that one. If you can isolate the noise that is making the noise and figure out the frequency of it, I'm sure that some video editing softwares you can edit certain frequencies out of it rather than just using preset noise and hissing takeaways. That's what I've been told by a filmmaker called Jack Dunn from London, or from Nottingham, who's in London. He's a very talented man who has made a film about me that I am really pleased with. Very pleased. What else has been going on? God. Well, I did travel to Albania on my own. I've never really travelled to a foreign country by myself. The plan was I'd become some kind of like travel blogger. But then I thought, I don't know if I'm really up for that. I think doing a podcast is up my street, and I'm going to get back into this. Sometimes I just don't know what I'm going to talk about. I didn't know what I was going to talk about today. Good job I had the prop of the torch to take me into talking about perception and then thinking about the tools that I'm using, the primer, to talk about asbestos and health and stocks, just because, wealth, it's always on my mind, kind of. But yeah, I always start coming up with some kind of shit, and then you listen and then you're like, yeah. If you enjoy listening to these ramblings, let me know. I might not get back to you, but yeah, have a go anyway. I might. Dunno. Oh, Farticus. It's almost Christmas. I'm trying to get into Christmas this year. My mum really likes Christmas, so I think it's a great idea for me to just try to like it, or not tolerate it, but it's difficult. I think this is the second Christmas that my dad's not been here, so I think if me and my brother are just trying to make it as nice as possible for everyone in the house, then she'll be like better, knowing that we're supporting her, and just like get her some nice little bits and bobs, have a nice time. The thing is, when you get to your late 20s like I am, you start to realise, oh God, we are mortal. Like, you don't feel as invincible. Like, you'll be shoulder pressing in the gym and you'll think, God, what's happening to my shoulders? Fuck, my knees, oh no, what's going on? You start to feel things a bit more. Now this red is it can get a bit shiny, I think, on here, but I'll go over it. Yeah, Christmas just around the corner now. Going to Bristol tomorrow to see my friend John, who was on an earlier episode of this podcast. He's very into trains, John. Z gauge, which is a type of scale or whatever, I don't know, gauge, size of model trains. He's an engineer, studied filmmaking, a very cool dude. Known him since we were doing the GCSEs. I think we're going to try and go for a curry and check out some National Trust places. But I'm really excited to just, you know, hang out. I think it's quite difficult to hang out with people when you get older, isn't it? You end up just like feeling a bit isolated sometimes. I've been trying to make an effort to see my friends recently. Like, especially if you get into a relationship, it can be hard. Sometimes you're just like spending so much time with your other half, and then you're like, I need to spend time with my mate. So it's important to make an effort, because you can become isolated even if you're in a really beautiful and supportive relationship. So I think make an effort to do the seeing of your friends. It's good for your health. It's good for their health, and it's good to you get a boost, a morale boost, a boost of friend when you see your friends. It's a good thing. Yes. I'd love to go to like maybe a car boot with him, but we're in the middle of the week. I'm not going to be able to go to a car boot. But I've been going to a few of them recently, and there's a bloke at one selling some pretty cool stuff, but I decided not to buy anything from him because I overheard him bloody talking to some other wanker about how all this mental health stuff is a load of bollocks, and how people back in World War II had it really bad. But I just thought, that's not really thinking about all of the shit that people have to go through now. They still have to go through war for one, famine, abuse, fucking cancer, relatives committing suicide. There's still quite traumatic things going on. I'm sure he's just talking about first world problems and people, you know, thinking that that's the worst thing in the world, but obviously he's just not really thinking properly about what's coming out of his mouth, you know, which is fair enough, because I don't all the time, and you know, yeah, but it just seemed really fucking stupid to me. I think a lot of people say these things without thinking, and without thinking how it could affect other people, because it can, like, it might make people not want to speak up about something that's going on because they feel like a putt for doing it, and then they top themselves just because there's some fucking cunt talking about how it's you shouldn't complain so much. Well, maybe it's not complaining, maybe just talking about your feelings. There's no wrong with that. There's no fucking wrong with that, is there? You fucking twat. So yeah, if something's wrong, you've got to talk to other people about it. This is coming along now, this. This is a brilliant thing to do, by the way. You know, if you don't think you're an artist or creative, get an Airfix model or something. I've got an Airfix model, which is a type of like model you put together with like a solvent cement kind of thing, like a plastic cement, and you paint it like of World War II planes and tanks and newer cars and things. You put them together, and that kind of all this flat pack furniture. I put together a workbench once when I was stressed from uni work, and I felt like a million times better. I think there's a lot of people that spend a lot of time worrying and stressing out, and they could be doing something like this. It brings them a bit more calmness, and it's because you're not thinking about everything else going on. You're just thinking about this thing. You know, even a fucking colouring in book, they do them for adults now, and they're really good as well. And what it is, they call it mindfulness. It's quite good. Yeah. Right. This is great. I'm going to get a little bit more red on this, and then I'm going to pack up and go home. It's getting late. Yeah. See, do you like these long pauses? I suppose that's why I started doing the video, so people can see what I'm doing. So if you're not watching the video, then make sure you start watching it, because it could be quite nice just to have me on in the background. Not to be up my own arse or anything, but I quite like watching ASMR videos of people making things out of leather and stuff, and just hearing the lovely sound of them cutting the leather and, you know, moving things about and sewing. It's great. So I think it's also something that could be quite good and bring you in into sort of meditative state, go to sleep, just to watch those type of things, or to, you know, actually fucking meditate and something like that. Yeah, I'll tell you what, I might say bye now, because I can't be fucking bothered, and I ain't got no else to say. It's about 9 PM. I'm getting a bit cold, so turn the heater off. Got to go Bristol in the morning, but thanks for watching, and hopefully this will be carrying on. This is what I'm going to call season 2 of the Jack Alford podcast. Now I might start doing seasons, so there'll be little breaks. So yeah, have a good week everyone, and I'll see you on the flip side, motherfuckers. There it is. Good. Oh, there's a bit of a, there we go. Bit of texture there. Don't really want too much texture on that. Take too long to dry. Right, don't need my gloves off and go on.